Okay, today I have Leah Reichman, who is the new female squat world record holding champion of the entire world. That is saying something. How you doing, Leah?
Thank you. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So just so people know, tell them how much you actually squatted last week, because this was last week, right? Yeah, last weekend.
Yeah, 9/11. It was 925 pounds.
And
So
you are the first woman to squat over 900.
yeah, Becca Swanson, I can't remember what year, but she squat 854.
Wow.
So it was last April. So it was this past April, I squat 880. I squatted 880, and then this past week 925.
Wow.
So
That's before we get into that, did Becca Swanson actually reach out to you to congratulate you or anything like that?
She did. She's so nice, very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely, I mean, coming from someone I look up to and I've
Sure.
like watched videos, that's very, very nice.
Absolutely. No, if you want to get the dog and put him on your lap, whatever you want to do, I could.
I don't even know what's going to work out for this.
It's okay. I could always edit this out. So okay, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I could always edit stuff out or whatever. Not a big deal. Otherwise, you could just put him on your lap if that.
Maybe that'll work. Hold on just a second.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Arthur, what are you doing? Okay. I know.
All right.
So
now we have Leah and Arthur.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Becca Swanson reached out to you, congratulated you, which shows her character and shows sportsmanship. That's great. Which is what should it be? What it all should be about, right?
Definitely.
Now, how long have you been powerlifting?
About 5 years. I started in 2016, just as a raw lifter, and then eventually moved to equipped lifting about 2.5 years ago. My first meet was 2019 as an equipped lifter.
And how did that go?
My first squat was 700 pounds. First bench, I believe, was 380, and my first deadlift was 555.
Wow. So your deadlift and your squat is obviously your superior lifts, right?
Yeah. In 2019, I was just like, let's just make it through the meet, get a total, and go from there. But deadlift and squat are definitely like you said, my superior lifts, the ones I feel comfortable with. Still have to work on bench. Mm-hmm. Benching and poly is definitely a learning curve for me. Something I need to practice and get better at, just like learning the bench shirt.
Mm-hmm. What made you change over from raw to equipped? Because raw, right? I mean, I know equipped is making a comeback, but raw is kind of really what people are paying attention to.
Honestly, just the recovery. I think that I always knew after my first raw meet that I wanted to be the biggest squatter in the world. Right. That idea was put into my mind. And I'm like, okay, well, for me to have the biggest squat ever, I'm going to have to go to equipped lifting. And then honestly, just like as I'm getting older, the recovery, all of that, it's different. With raw lifting, your joints hurt, your tendons hurt, mm-hmm. Yeah. All of that hurts. With equipped lifting, it's more so just, I mean, of course you're sore and things will ache and will hurt, but the recovery is a little bit different. It's more so you're just tired. Your CNS is tired, mm-hmm. Just from picking up and handling all of those heavy loads. Mm-hmm. So recovery was a huge factor in all of that for me. I'm 32, not getting any younger. And I'm just like, if I need some longevity, what's going to be the best way to do that in the sport?
Well, Shauna Mendelson said the exact same reason why she always did equipped, and she said after so many years she never had a major injury, which is fantastic. But yeah, from what I could see, women athletes in general, but especially powerlifting and bodybuilding and the power sports and arm wrestling, you guys really get better as you get older. It's not like men where it's like your peak would be in your 30s, 40s. Usually a lot of the women, their best years are after 40.
Yeah. I mean, you do see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if it's just, I'm Amy Weisberger. I don't know if you know who Amy is.
Mm-hmm.
She'll come to Sweatshop, and I think she said her best years were her 40s as well.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know why that is. I think
it just shows the difference between the genders is amazing. But I mean, it's unbelievable how, you think, no, it's completely different. Like Rita West is 48 and she is an elite bodybuilder right now. Right now, she is one of the best in the world. And she was an amazing powerlifter as well. She was an icon for many years.
Definitely. Rita's one of the OGs, the pioneers.
That's right. So who did you look up to? What videos did you watch, and who did you look up to as far as powerlifting goes?
Becca Swanson, of course, because she was like the strongest. And then of course she's a super heavyweight, which is my weight class.
Mm-hmm.
But Laura Phelps, who is also currently my coach. Yeah, she's the queen. She's got all of those world records in multiple different weight classes. And
I have to get her on. I did not reach out to her.
Oh, you should definitely get her on.
Yeah, I got to reach out. I did not reach out to her. I definitely got to get her on. Okay, I'll do that. Go ahead.
Yeah. But now like she's done with like lifting. Now she just coaches, and
but she's a legend.
She's a legend.
Yeah.
So she has a bunch of video of her old training videos on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So they're pretty accessible, which is nice. But those were the women that I usually would watch. The OG Sweat Girls out of Sweatshop in Cincinnati. Heidi Howard, Katie Brent, Janine Whitaker. I used to watch them all the time before I started lifting. Yeah. And now I get to like lift alongside some of those women. So that's really, really cool too.
Well, not only are you lifting alongside of them, but you're basically, with all due respect to the other girls, you're basically leaving them in the dust as far as squatting goes, especially.
Yeah. Katie, she's been doing this for 11 years. So like to have her eyes on you, even if she's not training with me, because I do have to train with the guys. Logistically, it just makes more sense too.
Sure. Yeah.
But whenever she has your eyes on you and she wants to teach you things, like you listen because she knows what she's doing. Her technique and her form is always like on point. So it's good. It's been really cool to be able to learn from like all of these veteran women as well. Since I'm still kind of a newbie, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you are. You're really, and obviously, God willing, your injuries, you won't have any major injuries, and you'll continue to break records and so on and so forth. What guys did you look up to? Were there any guys you looked up to?
Currently, I do have a couple of male lifters. Chuck Vogelpool. The squat king.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, I actually tried reaching out to him several times. Actually, so.
Oh yeah, I don't think you probably won't get a response.
Yeah.
No. Dave Hoff. I really like Chris Delafoff in Jersey. Those are some of my favorites. Bob Merck, Brian Hill. So some of those are my favorite guys to watch. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I actually had Bob Merck on what a gentleman he is.
He's great. He's so nice.
Absolute gentleman. Usually when you think of powerlifters, you think of guys that are rough dudes, and he has that rough exterior. But when you get to know him, the guy's an absolute sweetheart, and meanwhile he could bench a truckload. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's very nice. He has a great heart, and I feel like a lot of the people that I do come across, especially in equipped lifting, everyone is just so kind.
Yes,
and it's very communal.
Yeah, there's a lot more camaraderie in powerlifting than there is in pro bodybuilding. A lot more, 100%.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've definitely heard that.
Powerlifting, bodybuilding is pretty bad as far as,
Really? That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy to me because it's just like, for me, I want to see everyone just do well and succeed and reach their goals. And I guess in bodybuilding, I guess you guys are really like I don't know,
It's a
competing
selfish
against one
sport.
another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a selfish sport. You know, and with powerlifting, from my experience, you have to train in groups and feed off each other and give each other, technique. And you usually go to a powerlifting gym where it's more of a community and so on and so forth. When you're a bodybuilder, it's basically you and maybe your coach. And that's about it. Maybe if you have a
Yeah.
workout partner, but that's about it. But
Yeah.
it's a very, everything revolves around you sport. So obviously that mentality draws that kind of personality. You know what I mean? That kind of
Yeah.
environment draws that kind of personality, you know, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But the powerlifting community is definitely has a lot more camaraderie. Now,
Yeah.
so now that you broke the world record as far as squats, what other records do you hold?
Just squat
Mm-hmm.
all-time world record.
Mm-hmm.
My next goal is to go for the total.
Mm-hmm.
Becca's best was 2050. So, anything over that, I plan to try and go for that. And then start chipping away at a 1,000-pound squat,
Wow.
and hopefully like a 700-pound deadlift if I can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what is the best squat as far as, I don't know the numbers for squat for men. I know the bench and the deadlift. I'm not sure who has the world record for men as far as squat.
I think it's Brian Carroll, and
Okay.
he squat 1,300
Holy
pounds.
shit. Yeah, that's
think
amazing. That's amazing.
the men go back and forth so much, it's hard to keep
Yeah.
track.
But yeah, no, and that's my next question. It seems like in powerlifting, maybe in the last, I would say 5 years, there's an explosion of talent where people are breaking records almost overnight. And I mean in every category: squat, bench, deadlift, and even strict curl. Even strict curl is being broken. CT Fletcher had the American record for like 30 something years, and then Leroy Walker jumps in, and this June breaks it, and then 2 months later, 6 weeks later, breaks the world record.
Yeah.
But it's happening like this. What do you think's causing that?
Honestly, I think it's social media. I think it's Instagram. I think people are seeing this and they're interested in it, and they're like, I mean, lifting lives on social media. It lives on Instagram.
Yes.
So I think people are seeing this and they're like, I want to do it. I mean, honestly, I think that's how I got started. Is I saw all these people doing this. I'm like, hey, I think I could be like good at this. And because I know, like, especially for Raw too, that major influx of just lifters. You have strongman competitors. Like, that was always kind of a big sport. But I mean, you're seeing women pressing, like overhead pressing 300 some pounds right now. It's just like,
I happen to agree. I think social media is drawing more people to it, and thereby you're getting more talent in that world. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So now I have to ask you a question that most women don't want to answer, and you don't have to if you don't want to. But you squatted 925. What weight category was that?
Super heavy. So I weighed in that meet at 315 pounds.
And how tall are you?
5'11".
Yeah. So you're just a physically strong specimen. And then on top of that, your work ethic and your style is next to none.
Yeah.
This is from what other people other people in the world have been telling me. So this is what Jeannie Nutter had told me, and this is what Katrina had told me.
They're so nice.
Yeah, all through text. If it wasn't for Jeannie Nutter, she's the one who keeps me up on them, because she she sends me the squat roll later. Every time somebody's breaking in women, she sends it to me because she knows I'm gonna try to call you and get you on.
Jeannie's great. She's really sweet.
Oh yeah,
all the girls are sweet.
Yeah, I interviewed her too. She's a sweetheart. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what do you think is the one thing that stands out as far as why you did so well? Do you think why you're doing so well? Do you think it's just a genetic that you're that strong, or do you think it is once you put the right form, the right strategies in, once you got your coach, is that when things started clicking?
Honestly, I mean, I think genetics do come into play. I grew up on a farm, so I remember being like 6 years old, throwing like 50-pound feed bags over my shoulder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, I think it is technique and it's coaching. A lot of people just want to go into the gym, lift heavy, maybe do some leg extensions and leave.
Right.
But, you know, with our programming and the style of programming that we do a ton of volume. We exercise every body part. There's a lot of variations to our accessory movements. Conditioning, I think you can be as big as you want, but if you weren't conditioned to get through a meet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Some people lose all their gas after squats. But yeah, I mean, with the gear and learning and equip lifting, if you aren't using it right, it's going to throw you around. And you'll fail. So learning the technique, learning how to use the gear, learning proper cues, that's a major key in being successful, I think. And like I said, I think that's my issue with benching in a shirt is just learning that one thing. Like, I know it's there and I know it's so close, but it's just like, just really getting comfortable and figuring it out and figuring out how to use it. And some people, I may be struggling with that for years. I mean, we never know. So
right. Yeah. Now, but your work ethic, does that come from your blue collar farming background?
Yeah, I mean, I remember being a kid and my dad's like, before I went off to college, he's like, got me a job loading semi trucks. Cause he said,
that's amazing.
He said, I need to learn what hard work is like. I do think so. I think I've always been just like this competitor as well. Played sports all my life. So it definitely helps being like, you know, I always wanted to be the best. So definitely, definitely comes into play.
Right.
Just that competitive nature.
And what kind of sports did you do when you were younger?
Soccer for a little bit, and then I played basketball. I wasn't always this big. I was a little bit leaner. I played basketball all throughout high school. And then I was a thrower in track and field.
Oh, so. That's impressive. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the basketball team that you like? Because I like basketball too, actually.
Are we talking college or
no professional?
Well, I'm from the Cleveland area, so I'm a Cleveland fan through and through.
Yeah.
The Cavs. I love the Browns, the Indians. I know you're like the Browns. No, are you a Jets fan?
No, I don't really follow football too much. Believe it or not,
okay.
I'm not much of a football person. The powerlifting sports for me are number one. So powerlifting, bodybuilding, arm wrestling, those come first. Then I was always my father was a big boxing fan, so I always followed boxing. Cool. And then I kind of always had an interest in basketball, probably because my generation was the Michael Jordan generation. So
how old are you?
I'm 45.
Okay. I remember watching them in the 90s as a kid, and I'm still like, it was the best.
Everybody watched basketball when I was a kid. Everybody. It was not like today where it's kind of like it's becoming more of a niche. When Jordan was playing, Jordan did for basketball what Tiger Woods did for golf. He put everybody on the mat. And then like today, now everybody wants to play golf, right? When I was a kid, everybody wanted to play basketball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my problem was they didn't have too many spots for people under 6 foot tall. That was my problem.
Man, you would have been a really good point guard. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, all right, let's get back to powerlifting.
Okay.
I speak to this with every powerlifter. I think it's more my thing, but I think once I ask the question, then once I pick at it a little bit, then people kind of come out and they actually say something, which I agree with. Social media lifters, people that don't compete, but they're on social media supposedly putting up these tremendous numbers, but they've never been in any kind of competition. They don't know who the major players are. Young kids are following them, but there's no real technique to it, or so on and so forth. What's your take on it?
Honestly, that's a really hard question. I mean, you see those people on social media, like you said, just real strong. Who knows what they're doing to get that strong? But I mean,
or if it's real.
Or if it's real. I mean, but when you get someone off the bat on social media who just comes out of nowhere, super strong. You don't see their progress. Typically, I would assume that it's, like you said, either not real or they're doing it in an unhealthy way, which leads to, I think, injury sooner. You see those flash in the pan lifters all the time. I think on social media where they just come out strong, balls to the wall, and then all of a sudden major injury happens, and then what? Social media, I mean, for me personally, I use it as like a training log. You'll see some personal stuff on there, but really not really. I don't want to share a whole lot of my personal life with people, with strangers.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
But I mean, that's a really tough question to answer. I just think that typically when you see something like that happening, it's usually probably not the healthiest. Maybe children don't want to look up to someone like that.
I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more. And the problem is that the social media sensations are not the same as the major players in powerlifting or bodybuilding or so on and so forth.
I agree.
It's like two different worlds. And the majority of the young generation that starts getting into it is really, they're really following the social media sensations, right? I mean, with a very, very, very rare exception, like a CT Fletcher, who was a true, powerlifting champion. But you have people like, the first one that comes to mind is Brad Castleberry, who says he claims he throws up all this weight, and so he has this tremendous social media following. But then I'll ask a kid in the gym, who's Julius Maddox, and no clue, no idea. And I'm like, wait a minute.
But everybody, I know.
I know. It's like you're following the wrong person here. You're gonna, it's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon. I went to. Okay, I apologize. Go right ahead.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say it's crazy to think that there are these people out there using fake weights for what? For clout? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point? To be famous? Like, in the real world, would anybody really know who you were?
Right. Because I mean, I don't know how different it is now, but when I was younger and I was in the gym, if you were very strong, somebody, maybe because the world was different. Like today, everything is corporate gyms, but somebody would say, "Hey, listen, you really should try powerlifting." And I have a friend that coaches. With the right technique, you can go far. With the right coach, you can go far. Or I usually have the opposite. You have this tremendous physique, and it's like, oh, hey, listen, man, do you ever think of competing? Because if you have the right, people behind you, you could really go far. I don't know if the same thing happens in the gym anymore because of it being a corporate gym. Corporate gyms don't really breed that kind of people that have the contacts that it did when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, it was the hole in the wall gym. The LA Fitness was just coming around. New York Sports was just coming around, but it was really the hole in the wall gym that the local powerlifter or bodybuilder owned. And, the contacts were kind of right there. What was it for you that made you fall in love with it and you go, I gotta do this? What was the trigger?
Like I said, I always knew that I was pretty good at and strong just in general, as a kid growing up, and then being a thrower in track and field and lifting in the weight room with the guys then. And I remember being in high school and I was squatting, and some of the guys were like, "Wow, you're squatting that much." And I always liked to just lift heavy. And then I think it was, maybe 2015, whenever I really wanted to just lift more, do more, like just train more with weights as opposed to just trying to like work out to be fit. And then, I think that wow moment for me was when I started actual powerlifting programming, and I realized how fast with structure, how strong I was getting, like, and that quickly.
So nobody pointed you in the right direction. You actually sought people out and sorted out yourself.
Well, I actually did have a couple of friends who pointed me in the right direction. One, I think he's just so strong, and he's never competed actually, but he'll go and like rep 700. like it's
Unbelievable.
nothing.
Yeah.
You know, he has
Yeah.
no desire to compete. His name is Krishan Gilmore. And then I also am still one of the guys that I train around right now, Chad Burdett, also was around Krishan at the same time I was at the same gym. And he actually went off to Sweatshop, and I went to a smaller gym at the time. And eventually made my way back to Sweatshop, or made my way to Sweatshop. But those guys, I think, really kind of pointed me in the right direction. Like, hey, you could be good at this. I'm like, okay, yeah, like I want to be good at something.
Okay. Yeah. That's usually how. Well, for me, that's how. Well, I would, listen. I was a good amateur, but I would never had the talent to be a pro. It just doesn't work out there. But then, there are people like you where you could tell from the very beginning. You go, okay, you just give this person some direction, and they are going to go all the way, right? There's people like that. You could see it, and you go, So, is there anything that you want to plug? Do you have any kind of sponsors? Do you have anything? Nothing.
I actually, I know it sounds crazy, and people probably think I'm crazy, but I don't want any sponsors.
Why is that?
I feel like when you have sponsors, your social media and your platform isn't necessarily yours all the time anymore, because you're, posting for other people at that point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it becomes.
And I don't want to have to and I don't want to have to answer to anyone. I think a sponsorship should be, we want to help you because of your, your success. But I don't want to have to promote things and sell things, and that's not what I want to do. I have another job for that.
Oh, good.
I don't want to do that.
Well, that's very commendable. Obviously, it's very, very, very commendable.
Thank you.
Because usually somebody in a position like you would be like, "Where's the money?" I'll do whatever you want. Where's the money?
Don't get me wrong. I've thought about it, but at the same time, I'm just like, you know what? Lifting it's fun for me. It gives me structure. I've met amazing people. I've been able to travel. I never thought that I would travel to Shauna Mendelson's gym to do a meet. Sure. Just stuff like that. And it's just an experience. And I'm okay just paying for whatever I need to do out of my own pocket.
No, that's great.
Without having to answer to anybody else.
If we could all do that, that is the best way. And you're very lucky, but I think it's more,
Thank you.
I think it's more how you are as a person, and it shows your character. You're like, I want to do this, but I want to make sure that it is enjoyable. I want to make sure the ride is enjoyable. Yeah. And that says a lot about your character. Well, Leah, I am going to let you go, and I really, really appreciate you doing this. And I know you're going to be around breaking records for a while because you're very young and very talented. And I did watch on YouTube your squat, and it was absolutely amazing. I mean, you could see the powerlifting technique when you did that squat. It was, and if I may say, relatively easy for you. It wasn't really like your head was going to blow up. It was more like, wow, that was easy.
Yeah, there's that little sticking point there. And then once I got through that, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was amazing. It really was truly amazing.
I really appreciate that. You're very kind. Thank you.
Oh, of course. Well, it's very easy to compliment somebody who's the best in the world. It's not really, you're going to say you suck. You can't say that.
I mean, my training partners tell me I suck every day. So.
Yeah, well, I'm not your training partner, so we're good. I can tell you how great you are.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. We will definitely, keep in touch. And I want to have you on again because you're young. And maybe I'll do something. I did a arm wrestling one where I had the best women arm wrestlers in the country come to. Maybe we'll do something like that in powerlifting. Maybe I'll have you and whoever.
That would be really. There's some really good girls out there right now.
Because Rita's been on my show 3 times already, or we could have some old blood, some new blood. It would be pretty fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
All right, Leah, good. Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I'll let you know as soon as this comes out. This will be out this week.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.